Alright, what's up, guys? It's Austin Blankenship with Rack City MTG. It's been a while. It's been a while. Over a year, in fact. Uh, I've got my last post I made on this channel pulled up. Something that I talked about back then was that the rack would not be particularly playable until the One Ring was banned. This was for a number of reasons. One, the One Ring was extremely good against the rack, and it just kind of made it extremely difficult to play the rack. Two, I don't really think that there was any reason during that time period to not run the mono black mid range list instead of our deck. Now that only Necro is the card engine that goes with Shieldred now, or the card draw engine that goes with Shieldred now, the fact that that's the case, I do think there is some room for rack in the meta again. I've been playing recently. We'll switch over here to the list I've been playing. I've not 5-0'd with it yet. I had multiple 4-1s, some 3-2s. I think out of 5 or 6 leagues of tuning it and kind of playing different things, I only did worse than 3-2 once. I got 1-2-3. So the deck is solid. It's not like it was kind of when I stepped away for a minute from playing the rack, and for life reasons as well. But we have like quite a few new additions to the deck, and that's going to be quickly what I talk about here. One is that Boggart Trawler. I started out just running a couple of these cards, and I quickly found out that this might be the best new addition to the rack deck. And probably the best card, dare I say it, since Urza Saga being printed for the rack deck. It doesn't look that impressive on the surface, but it allows us to run 18 lands, and you'll notice, but because of the damage here, even with Fatal Push, I've elected not to run the fetch lands, and I'm only running 2 Urborg because I'm running mostly swamps, 1 Castle Lochtwain to be able to get off Expedition map if there's something like well, not a Blood Moon, but an Alpine Moon. People don't run that as much anymore. Castle Lochtwain's just a good card. There's some situations that it's good to grab it with Expedition map. It's also really nice to just naturally draw it. Besides that, really Urza Saga has been the only utility land that I've kept in the deck for now. Besides Boggart Trawler, who, one, having that extra copies of main graveyard hate and not having to run like 2 or 3 copies of Nihil Spellbomb, because one of the big, really overall the biggest hate card against us is the card Pest Control, if you've seen that card, where it destroys all non-land permanents mana value 1 or less. So reducing the amount of hate cards at mana value 1 has kind of been important. The other obvious one was Orcish Bowmaster. I know in the versions people were running where they were running the Grief combo, that this was popular as a 2, 3, sometimes 4 of. I actually think it's a 4 of in like our more standard Urza Saga rack list. And it's for multiple reasons. One, it's just good against Boros. Two, it does help punish our opponents for when they go a little bit like heavier on like the draws and stuff. So like you'll see maybe matchups with the Ketramos deck where this is extra pertinent. Every time they draw with Ketramos, oh, I get to kill your Flicker Wisp. Oh, like this, that. So it creates this different axes of attacking the opponent that is not going to be super available with us, especially in like particularly bad matchups. Like this, just it does so much for us. Kills things. It's a threat. It's the best threat we have. When you do play Smallpox, it's the best creature to play alongside of Smallpox that we have available right now as well. I would recommend them. I know they're a bit pricey, but if you're going to play rack in competitive leagues, I would be running this card. Sudden Edict, making a comeback to the main deck, was something that I was not expecting. So this was a powerhouse back when, the Izzet Murktide was just the deck, right? Having that uncounterable way to kill that Murktide or that Dragon Rage Channeler, things like that, so that they couldn't just do the typical Delver thing where have a beater, have protection the whole game. This is actually extremely good against the Ketramos decks because it turns off things like, coincidentally, I doubt they have a lot of Aven Disruptors. I've ran into some lists that have them. But cards like that, where they can respond at instant speed, being able to kill the Ketramos before they can start drawing cards with their Relic of Progenitus or other cards that they have, it just completely negates that. Can't flash in little 2 mana dog that can exile and stuff, right? Or sack, can't flash in Solitudes. It just makes sure that if you're timing it correctly, you get to kill what you need to kill. And of course, Liliana kind of can mop up between the combination of the two. We don't need as many. Like Shieldred's Edict is good, just not as many Planeswalkers. Bowmasters helps against Planeswalkers, putting pressure there. Bloodchief's Thirst still is good against Wrenn and 6, cards like that. Really, the only other cards main deck that are new are Toxic Deluge. We have 2 in the main, 2 in the side, and it's just the best black board wipe for us right now. Once again, that's why I've kind of elected to run less fetches. I do not have any sort of life gain in the main deck or sideboard right now, because really Boros is the only aggro deck that's seeing consistent play. So we're not super concerned about our life total all the time, but we're concerned enough that, cutting back on the fetches because of all the life between these two cards that we're giving up. Bolding ourselves with the trawlers when it's land, and obviously sometimes like going 4, 5, 6 life on this Toxic Deluge can do that as well. If you've played any Legacy, of course, you've seen a lot of Toxic Deluge. It's been a staple in Legacy Pox decks forever. And Vexing Bauble. Vexing Bauble is a really good hate card, both for us, against the Stormy style decks like that are running Mishra's Bauble, things like that. And of course, it can, just like Nihil Spellbomb, you can get away with running it main deck because it can be just a cantrip in a pinch as well. It's not a completely dead draw ever. Pithing Needle, as you all know, that's kind of one of my signature. Like I always main deck 1 Pithing Needle, just because I've never had a situation where it was completely dead unless I was already dead. There's something relevant in almost every deck that you can name with Pithing Needle, and when you can get the Pithing Needle off of Urza Saga, especially right now where the most popular decks, a lot of them, Pithing Needle is good against. So things like the Ketramos deck, the Grinding Station combo deck. There's all sorts of decks that Pithing Needle can just win the game. The mono blue Belcher decks, just go ahead and run it main deck. You could run a couple in the sideboard if you wanted to. I found that just one in the main deck, you're good. If they have the hate card, they have the hate card. It just rarely comes up that Vexing Bauble is also good against the mono blue Belcher decks. Necromentia out of the sideboard is kind of our good cleanup catch-all piece against those combo decks. It does a lot of good for us. Toxic Deluge, run the other 2. Usually I bring those in against Boros and Ketramos, and that's about it, because sometimes it is a more dead card than some of the other removal spells in our deck. Tourach is very good against both Boros and Ketramos. It can be a clock in itself. It's really good in those grindy, long games. Protection from white, obviously, is the part that's the most nice thing about it. But 3 of does well. I kind of wish that we could somehow get around Toxic Deluge with it, but most of the time we don't really need to. 3 more Nihil Spellbombs as our graveyard hate. 1 more Vexing Bauble. There are times that it's nice to have a second one in there, and that's just kind of a good sideboard slot for it right now. I don't think the 4th Necro or the 4th Tourach or the 4th Dampening Sphere is worth the slot. 1 more Vexing Bauble. That gives us a little bit of freedom, like late game if we need to cycle one. We're good on that end. So that's pretty much what the deck is looking like right now. Let's jump into a league. We do not want to do a friendly league. We'll do a league. Let's join up. Yep, while we're waiting, if it takes a minute, a lot of my break from content creation in general has been I went back to school to get my master's degree the past little bit, so that's been taking up the majority of my free time besides work. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. So hopefully the plan is to try to most Fridays. I usually work a half day on Fridays. If I can find the time to get home and stream a league or record a league like I am today, that's the game plan moving forward. So hopefully I can keep cranking out this content for you guys, and especially, having the opportunity to play a little bit of rack. It's not been the most playable deck for a while now. I thought that the One Ring would be banned much sooner than it actually was banned. Uh, Better late than never. And it does feel like there are some matchups that we're still not great against, but it does feel like we can win just by playing optimally, really understanding our opponent's decks. Just the classic rack ways of winning, where it's not the best deck in the vacuum, but if you really know how to play it well and you understand your opponent's decks, you're going to win almost as much or more than you lose, just baseline. All right. Our opponent will be on the play. Let's see what sort of hand we get. Don't recognize the username. Fab KSR. If they're around, good luck. Classic rack hand. We're definitely going to keep this. Just Inquisition into potentially either Edict or Thoughtseize. Maybe we draw another 1-mana card off the top. Liliana to kind of start mopping things up. Really good classic. We're going to take control of the early game, keep you from doing your stuff, rack hand. So let's do it. This thing would be worst against Boros. So let's see if this is Boros. No, it's not. That's good. At least I don't think it is. We're not going to play the Urborg out yet, just in case this is the Indomitable Creativity deck. Let's see what they have. Oh, so this is a good one, because this is one of our worst matchups, but it's been surprisingly decent, I'll say. Probably the card that's the best against us is this one, Withering, I don't know if you say Chrysalis or Chrysalis. I'm sure it's like some derivative of the word crystal. But you know, okay, they chose to bin the spawning Myco or sowing Myco spawn here. Okay, so this turn we're probably going to Thoughtseize away the writhing. I thought it was withering, writhing Chrysalis. Um, Myco spawn is better for their deck late game, but as you'll see, they usually use it as a ramp card, and if we can really take control here um, of the board, not leave a lot in play. Okay, so Bowmasters we know would be decent here. We really have to get rid of this thing. This is the best card they have against us. Not the best card in their deck, even close, but it's the best one against us. So Devour, we're going to leave Devourer, and I'll show you why here in a moment. Because I do think that we can clean things up enough with Liliana here before they get to Devourer. They should be able to Myco spawn this turn. Okay, interesting that they're not just going ahead and playing the Temple out. Because this kind of, yeah, this means they have to put the Devourer under Labyrinth. I would have probably sequenced that by playing the Temple first, but you know, they can do what they want to do. I'm not going to complain. They chose to get the Sanctum of Ugin, so that's their plan. Got it. I think that we are still in this game. This is probably our worst matchup in the meta. However, I would say that I'm at like a solid, we'll say a 60% or so win rate against the deck. I mean, it's not been a bad matchup at all. So something that you're going to see here that might surprise you a little bit, I'm actually going to plus Liliana here because I want to empty their hand just as fast as possible right now. I don't want any. I'll use the Edict on the Sowing Myco spawn, and I'll be cool with her taking some damage here. She's the card that's going to have to like just uptick us to victory here. So we know their hand is Eldrazi Temple, 2 unknown, I believe. They do have to play their land, okay. Let's see what they have. At this point, I think that we'll discard Bowmasters on the uptick of Liliana. Okay, Malevolent Rumble. That's a little bit worse for us. Hopefully we draw a land, and that'll kind of change how we play this out. So if we draw a land, we'll try to Bowmasters away this Eldrazi spawn, and then Sudden Edict. They do have a second Sowing Myco spawn. This is probably their second best card in their deck against us, obviously outside of just, ramping into a crazy finisher that we're not going to be able to beat. So this, obviously these tokens are good against edicts. This is the best card because of the reason why the tokens are good against edicts. This is the best card against us typically. And this is just a cantrip that leaves behind a ramping body. It's a good card. I don't think they really use their graveyard particularly much. It seems like they're debating on, okay, they are going to kick this. Okay. Don't know if I would have done that. But they also don't know what's in my hand or maybe even what deck I'm playing, so going to be very forgiving on that. It does allow me to get rid of the last unknown. Okay, this is very good for us. Things change a little bit here in that I do think I want this land, and I do think I want the edicts. I hate to discard the rack, but this is why we're running two copies of the rack right now, right? So we're going to uptick. See what they do, if there's anything that they respond with. This card's also very good at blocking in this situation if we need it. That's not what we need it for right now, though. We want to get Castle online next turn. Okay, we got rid of the Karn. Great. So now we'll Edict them. And we'll play our Bowmasters, and that's going to buy us a turn with Liliana. The issue is that they should now be able to do their Devourer of Destiny, but we have outs to that. You get to see live why I consider this our worst matchup here, because in most matchups we'd be very, very far ahead right now. So 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep, they do have the Devourer online. Okay, so they're just getting the ramp piece out of their hand. Got it. Hopefully they maybe devour the Bowmasters here, not the Liliana. Let's see what they decide, though. Because if they choose to sacrifice this and they exile the Liliana, I can still uptick the Liliana one turn and get rid of whatever they draw in their hand here. But if they wisely, okay, they do make the correct play and exile the Liliana. They didn't try to get too cute with it, so that's good. So really, for them, so really right now, our best out off the top of our deck is going to be another Liliana. There's an argument for keeping the rack and going aggro there, but just a second. You have to think a second 3/3 on the battlefield. It's just not happening. Like, we're not going to outrace them. Just going to take the 3 for now. And we draw kind of our one out, of course. It's called the rack luck for a reason, right? Okay. So that keeps us in the game. We have a couple chump blockers. Let's see what they do. What if they'll send everything at Liliana? Okay, they do send everything at Liliana. I think we for sure block here. I don't know if we. I do think we have to double block, unfortunately, because we really need to be able to get Liliana's Edict online here, or keep it online. The only reason why we didn't use the Edict last turn is because this card would have definitely killed us. Okay, this isn't the worst draw that we could have. Mentally here, I'm trying to think of if there's a way that we can, use this Edict on the Devourer, and push the Sowing Myco spawn, but I don't think so. We're just going to have to take our beat here. We will draw with Castle Lochtwain at their end step, more than likely. And hopefully they maybe just attack us instead of the Liliana. Okay, they do attack the Liliana, which is the correct play. We do have Fatal Push online if they have a second Myco spawn. Okay. We're probably just dead to whatever's happening here. They go with Karn, the Great Creator. Let's just kind of see what they have to grab with Karn here. Not sure why they sacrificed that as part of the cost. Unless they just know for sure. You look at they're playing Liquid Metal Coating. Choosing not to cast it is odd. I feel like that's a pretty easy way for us to maybe stay in the game. Not sure though. Let's see. We're almost definitely dead if you've not figured that out. But we're going to play it out. I'm a believer in playing to your outs. Hypothetically, if we get another edict here, there's the Liquid Metal. Okay, they'll probably Liquid Metal this Lochtwain. We haven't yet. Yeah, it would be very unwise to block here. We'll just tap this. Not that it's relevant. Could be, though. See if they have a 4-mana play. They do not. Okay. Really need to edict off the top. Let's see if we got it. We don't, but that keeps us alive, probably. If they have something that could exile one of these Boggarts, we're dead anyway. So I think the out is... okay, what's going on with this? Interesting. Do I have to target myself? Okay, there it goes. It was kind of acted up for a minute there. Not sure why. But we're going to attack Karn. That way we know there's nothing that they can get with Karn off the top. We can still... or out of the sideboard that's an extra threat. We can still chump block here. We have to. The only other alternative would be to stay back and try to double block, but they're going to rip something eventually. Like, we have to put pressure on this Karn. We have to try to win the game. Because we'll die to just Karn plus Liquid Metal Coating if we don't come after him a little bit. Okay, that's a weird decision on their part. Because I can just push that now. That's great for us. I would not have exposed my Liquid Metal Coating to that play. Once again, you're seeing this is why we play it out. There are weird scenarios where we can just win games that we shouldn't. This is not looking like it's going to be this way, but our opponent kind of gave us the opportunity here. Obviously, it'd be nice to attack the Karn. We can't, because then we're just dead. Getting a better look at their list seems like 100% stock, so might be doing more harm than good here. Okay. This looks like probably going to be, yep, another Devourer, and we can concede to that. That was a good game one for us against them, believe it or not. I thought we could maybe squeak that out. Usually we have to pull a couple off out of the sideboard. Sudden Edict's pretty good against them. Nihil Spellbomb is usually pretty irrelevant. Vexing Bauble, pretty irrelevant. Those are the two that I tend to cut. Then I bring in... sorry, not Necromentia. I bring in the two Toxic Deluges. I cut the Funeral Charm. A part of me thinks that maybe I'll keep Funeral Charm around just to cut. It seems like I cut it for every matchup besides Boros these days, so we might go up to 3 Bloodchief's Thirst one day. I am probably going to go down. No, the Raven's Crimes are good here. I don't really want to go down the Edicts if I don't have to. I don't want to go down the Pithing Needle. Don't want to go down the Boggart Trawlers. I can afford to go down 2 Boggart Trawlers if I really want to, and the deck function fine because we're at 22 lands essentially. And in the past, I've always ran 20, and we're not even running Smallpox now. Bowmaster is very good against, like in certain situations, against the little guys. I do think I'm going to go down 2 pushes. And then that'll give us our last 3 slots for the Damping Spheres, which are good against 8 of their lands. All right, I'm surprised that they took longer to sideboard than we did here. I felt like I took a really long time to do that. A lot of you who may or may not be watching could be new to the channel, so welcome. It's been a long time since I've posted anything, so I'm thankful for anybody tuning in. This is a solid hand. We can go probably just Raven's Crime into Damping Sphere here. You could make the argument for Expedition Map, but we'll see. I would really like them to go Ugin's Labyrinth on like immediately here and tuck this Devourer, and then us be able to put our Damping Sphere down and play Saga. That way we're slowing them down and then we have a clock ourselves. Okay, a Malevolent Rumble kind of surprises me. Maybe we don't have much green in hand. Or we think we have a really busted hand. Maybe that's it too. So we think we're going to have a lot of like Labyrinth into Temple. Let's give us an idea. So they did have the Kozilek's return. I would have probably boarded those out, but the only creature they saw from us was the Bowmasters, so I get why they would have kept that in. They do put it on red. I do think I want to play the Saga here because I worry if I hold on to it too long, I worry that I'm subjecting it to the Mycos Bomb before I get any value out of it. Sorry, MTGO is being very buggy. It's staying on cards longer than it has in the past, but it might just be the update. Since Daybreak Games took over, it seems like the client runs a lot smoother than it used to run. There was just a patch recently as I was downloading it. I'm not sure how long ago that's been. Okay, we're just going to play this out. We have the option, of course, to Edict plus push, but more than likely we're just making a Saga token. The Surveil lands are a very underrated piece of this deck, in my opinion. It's an interesting choice for us on what we get off the Saga here because we have, our 2 best targets against them in hand. Great, great. So we have them off their curve with the Damping Sphere and Labyrinth here. They're just double checking to make sure that they were right, that does nuke the Labyrinth. Cool. Okay, I think we're going to Pithing Needle Karn the Great Creator here. I think that's our best play. So Pithing Needle Karn. Once again, I was surprised their sideboarding took as long as it did. Because I figured most of their sideboard's a Karn board if they're running Karn. Usually it's really cut and dry what you take in and take out if you're a Karn deck. Which is why I guess it makes sense for them to keep Kozilek's Return in the main deck. Probably not many targets to take out. Also could have just went P or something. Probably just as likely. Okay, it is Rack aggro time, for sure. Let's do this. Yeah, we're just gonna we're gonna beat. This is what makes the deck playable, right? Just giant construct tokens beaten down in our bad matchups. In our good matchups, we really do grind well with the rack. But these decks like this, we have to be very on it, very aggressive. They're pausing like they have something. Maybe they just don't realize. Oh, they do have something. Probably a Kozilek's command. Could be wrong, though. So it is a Kozilek's command. They can exile the creature, create a couple constructs. This helps them a lot on their game plan. And they chose not to block, which is a little bit scary. But let's see what they do. Next turn, if they don't just cast something that kills us, the good news is we're really good against all this dust right here in this board state. We'll attack, crack the map, and either Edict or some combination of one of these cards. It is nice to be able to get queued up into, like, this is our worst. Historically, if you know anything about Rack, the old Tron decks are, like, by far our worst matchup historically. So seeing that the deck is functional against what would pretty much unanimously be considered our worst matchup, kind of nice to see, I think. We'll see if they choose to chump block here. I'm not going to, because of the Damping Spheres online, we can't really like triple spell and kill a bunch of their spawn. Okay, they do choose to do that. We are going to get an Urza Saga here. And I do think we're going to hold up the Sudden Edict in case they choose to ramp out into like the Devourer or something next turn. Because we do know they have the Devourer in hand. There's just nothing in play for the Devourer to exile. So good for us. Not as great for them. So they're choosing to return the Emrakul to hand, which is smart. Why wouldn't you? Extra cards against the rack, and it's doing nothing as long as Damping Sphere's in play. I'm hoping that this turn we sacrifice both of these spawns, is what I'm hoping. Okay, we sacrifice one to kick to destroy Saga here. So I'm probably not going to waste my Sudden Edict here, because I'll have permanent leaving the battlefield. I can Fatal Push, obviously. See what land they grab before I do anything else. Just an Eldrazi Temple that basically does nothing. Yeah, I was gonna say, like, the part of me like let them go to attackers first, but they don't have anything. But you never know. We're probably gonna double Raven's Crime this turn, but we're gonna attack. Well, now we're gonna Thoughtseize and Raven's Crime, but we're gonna attack first to see if they'll chump block again. I would rather them chump block here. Okay, so now we have Thoughtseize, and we can maybe pick apart some of the better cards here. So don't care about all his dust. We do care about the Devourer of Destiny. I think we're best off. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They need another land. We're going to crime them. I don't necessarily love, just because I don't know for sure that they'll be able to cast the Devourer this turn. I would have loved to hold up the Edict if they could have, if I knew for sure they were going to hit a land to get this second Devourer out. Then we could just Edict on their turn, crime on our turn. Maybe we draw another one mana spell, and that should pretty much be the game between the rack and construct damage. Let's see what they've got. The long pause makes me feel like they don't just have land slam, or they would do it. Even though there's nothing for the Devourer to exile. Because if you aren't familiar with this card, some of you might be old Magic players like me that used to playing like Dark Confidants, things like that, right? That's before my time, but okay, let's see. That should be lethal. If not this turn, the next turn. Oh, this is much better for us. So we'll go ahead and attack. If they have something... This is tough. I don't want to expose the Liliana to the Devourer this turn. When I say it's lethal, I don't mean that they're literally dead, but I don't think there's any sequence of cards they could draw to get out of the situation. Yeah, so just do that. Well, we're going to leave the Edict up. Just the best way to play this, line-wise, I think. Another one of... Okay, Nature's Claim on the rack. That shouldn't matter that much. So that's good. It's good to know that's there, though. That's very good against our Urza Sagas as well. Probably going to slam the Devourer this turn. I'll Sudden Edict them. Then we uptick Liliana. Get rid of the last card out of their hand. Yep. We sequenced this correct this time. The Devourer being able... Oh, so it's not a May ability, so they have to do that. Wow. This is actually a beating for them. Okay, so yeah, we don't even really have to play Liliana out into this or anything, but I mean, we're going to. Maybe we draw another artifact here. Yeah, we'll just play Liliana, uptick. The rack's not a factor anymore. Devourer is really their big card out of this situation, but because I don't think any of the other cards in their deck are castable with Damping Sphere in play. Okay, so we managed to get one. That's pretty big. So you see, the worst matchup that we have, we can win games with. Now we'll be on the draw, so we have to decide if there's a situation where we want to maybe be able to put more pressure on them or not. I think that we have to default back a little bit more to the control deck while we're on the draw. But let's see. We could also go a little bit sideways here and board in the Tourachs, like I said, and get a little more aggressive. Just because we know that they have some of hate for our hate cards, basically. We might do that to an extent. But, I mean, I'm happy with a lot of how it's set up here. I don't want to mess with it too much. Crimes and Thoughtseize and Lilianas are all super important in the matchup. Deluge is really good in the matchup. I think we just run it back. It's a nice feeling to think that like 64 cards in your deck would be good in the matchup. Not my favorite hand against their deck. And they are mulliganing. We don't have hate cards. We don't need hate cards. Especially if they're mulliganing for their own like counter hate cards. I think that if they're running low on cards, we have a pretty good shot of being able to win. And we have a lot of draw steps against their deck to draw the hate. This can represent a hate card against Pithing Needle. We're going to slow roll the Saga to the very end, if possible. Probably going to play a tapped Trawler and pass unless we draw something different. And we did draw something different. That's a good draw for us. So, Nature's Claim, Talisman, Kozilek's Command. I think we take the Talisman here. Argument for taking this, but I think that we can get to a point where we make them discard some cards. And Bowmaster helps us clean up a little bit with this Kozilek's Command. And of course, you can always Bloodchief's Thirst a token if you need to. Yeah, this would be a... Okay, we're just going to play the Swamp out again. Once again, not going to expose our Urza Saga to the Nature's Claim. Okay, the Malevolent Rumble is nice. We'll be able to Saga away, or excuse me, Bowmasters away their token here. What did they keep? They kept Forest. Good to know. So their hand is Labyrinth. Just to be on the safe side, I do like to. We could wait to the end step. This was a big misplay or something on their part, then so be it, right? But okay, that's a pretty good draw. Once again, still not going to expose the Saga to the Nature's Claim here. But we are going to uptick Liliana. Discard our Bloodchief's Thirst. They're really aggressively holding up the Nature's Claim. I'm not sure what all is going on in their hand, but it doesn't matter too much to me. I mean, we'll just try to beat down, try to wear the hand out before we play the Saga out. If they don't see a target and we keep upticking Liliana, maybe they make the decision to pull that off. Okay, so we have a very good sequence here that I like, because they're going to cast this Chrysalis, and we're in a rare situation where we can clean up both of these spawn tokens and kill the Chrysalis, so this is nice. We're in a solid spot right now. And we can just we could have kept the Deluge, but get the Nature's Claim out of their hand. We'll play this. I'm good with waiting a turn before I have to kill the Chrysalis here. Okay, I was going to say that's the opponent doesn't know that they should do that, so that's good. Just got to go ahead and edict them. It's not my favorite choice of how to do things. Obviously, they could draw a couple decent cards off the top. They can't cast the Devourer, so we're pretty well set up to chump block one turn with the Bowmaster, and then we're off to the races. Yeah, doesn't have Menace or anything like that, or Trample. So yep, just chump blocker. See, Bowmasters just does a lot of glue stuff for us. It's not really particularly good in this matchup, yet here we are in a really good spot. Okay. This is also a good spot for us. You could make the argument of maybe trying to finagle like something with Fatal Push for that, but I think we're on aggro plan till the end of the game here. Probably make 2 Saga tokens and get the rack. Micah Spawn would be tough. Yep, and they do have Micah Spawn. Still get a token out of it, but our clock is much slower now. And we'll use the Fatal Push on the Micah Spawn, just so we don't have to play the try to hold up from upticking Liliana thing. Go ahead and kill it. We have a very slow clock, and they have a lot of top decks, so we really need our top decks as well to go well for us here. Yeah, we want to keep upticking Liliana in this situation, just because her ultimate does buy us a lot of time if we need it. And there's a good chance we'll need it. Okay, just play our land out. Uptick. If we can fade 2 more draw steps, we're in really good shape. I really don't like their decision earlier to discard Kozilek's command over Nature's Claim, but I understand why. We do have a lot of good hate cards for him. In the game we won, it was the Saga that really brought it home for us. Okay, so one more draw step's all we need to fade, and we can probably get there. Just keep upticking. They're on a very slow clock, but at least it's a clock. We do have something. We're not just passing back and forth. 2 damage a turn's not a lot, but could help get us there. If they sired this turn, which they can do by bringing that to hand, we can just Liliana, make him sack it, keep up ticking. This is where we really need to fade that last top decked card. It's like a Malevolent Rumble right here would be backbreaking against us. They're in the tank, so it doesn't seem like they've got Malevolent Rumble unless they're just counting cards here. Notably, the Liliana Ultimate hardly puts them off of anything mana-wise. It would like Emrakul, but that's about it, like those cards. And if I was them, I probably would have cut back on those cards anyway. Maybe keep like 1 in the deck. Hopefully this is the Sire, they're just going for it. Nope, it's the Micah spawn. I'm pretty cool with that. I'm cool with just... Okay, so they are going to be able to do both, I guess. I didn't think about that. So 3, 6... So there's 6, 7, 8. I know it's got Menace, but the question is does it have Trample? It does. Okay. So we do need to draw something here. We did not draw something. We basically can't keep the Liliana alive here, which is annoying. Because even if we double block this thing and they attack with both, it's dead, right? So let's just say creatures or lands. What do you all think? Let's do it. Creatures or lands? Which one do you want? We might put another... We'll give them 2 forests with that pile. I think we have a better chance if they choose the creatures over the lands here. But we'll see what they go for. I think that the correct move is to... Okay, they made the correct decision. Because now they're still in top deck mode. We're holding our land now because we have the Raven's Crimes in the graveyard. Not that they're just going to be able to cast anything they draw, but you never know later. If there's a situation where they hiding from the rack or something like that. That's a great draw for us. Once again, you're seeing why I think Boggart Trawler, we can run this over Mishra's Factory and things like that. Because we like our lands that are a threat, right? The thing is just like this is either a land or a threat. And we're such a black intensive deck color pip wise that like we're really limited in the amount of colorless lands I think we can run. Okay, so this is the situation I was talking about where this might be a Kozilek's command, but even if it is, a Kozilek's return. Got it. Okay, so that one's good. That one's good against us. For now. Still got the Deluge. I always forget this is an instant speed card. It's a good card. Kind of been waiting for a comeback. So the Micah spawn will probably hold this Deluge for a while. Or Deluge, however you want to say it. Just because 3 damage a turn is not a super crazy clock. But whatever, like, there's a sequence of events where they can get a bunch of stuff, like, they rip a 7 drop and then 7+ drop, then get Sanctum of Ugin and just go crazy on us. And then we'll be thankful that we have this Deluge. Obviously didn't Thoughtseize because there's nothing to Thoughtseize at that time. Now there is, but we'll see. Probably I mean, maybe a Kozilek's command. Let's see. They've showed that they're more than willing to just play their lands out. That's not an issue. So like it makes you feel like it's probably instant speed something. Yeah, it's probably a Kozilek's command. Their best option is to scry the draw. So they have the best card out of their top 10. 10 of these, and whatever they decide to get off Sanctum of Ugin here. So what do they choose to get? They got a second Myco spawn. Okay. This puts us in a weird spot because they can exile one more of our lands, and we really need that land for the Deluge. I can't believe so. Like out of okay for a colorless creature card, that's the one they chose. So they did sideboard out like the Emrakuls and things like that. It appears just decided to go more aggressive. They kept this card in. But you figure they'd have multiple copies of 7-drops at this point, like, and you're making this many spawn tokens. Ironically, like, I think we have to take the Myco spawn. I was not expecting that, but here we are. Glad we held on to the Deluge, like we said. You're already getting a turn 13 slogfest. First match here. Our opponent in the red clockwise. So here comes the Devourer. Oh no, it's okay, yeah, it is. Nope, Sire, okay. Is this a May ability? So this is just a May ability. Got it. Well, we'll be once again like super well, this has been a great game of Magic if you just like the back and forth, like crazy what on earth is going on. Because this is a like screw it, we ball type play, right? Toxic Deluge for 7. Oh my lord. And we know that it's Devourer in their hand. So like it's not like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They can cast it. They have 8 mana, so we do have to rip something to deal with the Devourer. But I mean, we were dead if not. So here we are. I'm really shocked that they didn't cast the Devourer, but we'll take it. That's all I'll say. So an Edict, and we stay in the game. If not, we almost definitely lose. They do have to exile their own Utopia Sprawl again, which is pretty funny. This doesn't say, okay, I was going to say, if it said to like, and to each opponent or something. All right, moment of truth. If we draw something good, we can win the game still. Oh, we did it. This has been the most ridiculous game of Magic I think I've played in a long time. We're just ripping off the top. Sorry, I tried to pass there. I accidentally hit the brightness down. Oh my lord, and they're ripping too. Come on, we need a Liliana. Liliana to finish out the game. Let's go. Let's do it. Okay, okay. We can live with this. Actually, this buys us legit time. Okay, so we know that they're not going to be able to cast that thing for a while. This buys us 2 turns of clock potentially. I'm a little bit funky about we're just going to go ahead and do this. We have to chump block anyway, and there's nothing. If they had like a dismember or something. Let me just double check. This thing does not have trample. All these new Eldrazi cards kind of have me a little bit weirded out. Okay, so they can't cast either card in hand, apparently. Okay, Expedition map. I mean, yeah, let's roll it. Get the Saga. We have chump blockers for days as of now. If they draw another like Devourer or Sire of Seven Deaths or something like that, they get the Kozilek's returned back, and that's just GG. Right, because it deals 5. Yeah, so it doesn't kill the Devourer. And the Damping Sphere is keeping these lands turned off so they can't cast the Emrakul. Oh no. Oh no. Do they have it? They do have it. Okay. Do I get the draw trigger off this though? I don't. And GG. Wow, what a great game of Magic. Even though we lost that. We'll make him swing. But even though we lost that, great game all the way through. So, I think the opponent was very kind, telling us well played there. That was a very entertaining game, even though we lost. So I'm glad we have that on video for you all. Very long game, much a giant slog. But once again, that is our absolute worst matchup. Game 3 took 17 minutes. This is what you sign up for as a rack deck. But what a great game. I'm glad that you all enjoy it. Hopefully these are the types of games that make you enjoy playing rack over more, I don't want to say linear decks. Rack has a degree of linearity to it, but it's interactive, you know? It's an interactive type of linearity. All right. Not a lot of new faces to me, as far as like opponents go. Magic's a cyclical game, you know, we all kind of come in and out. There's a couple of familiar faces on the leadership or on the leaderboard for trophies this season. I'm going to guess this is probably the Reanimator deck, so I'm liking this keep less, hoping that we draw a couple lands so that I have the Boggart Trawler available as a graveyard hate card. I'm not sure. There could be some sort of Jeskai like control deck with Flage and all that, but this tends to make me think not. Our opponent has a stop on our upkeep that they seem to be unaware of. So hopefully we don't have to sit for too long waiting on that. We have a couple Inquisitions. If they are the Reanimator deck, we're in good shape to whether or not we have to use this as a land or not, because we have the Edicts, because we have the Inquisitions, because we have the Fatal Push for the Emperor of Bones, if they have that. We have a lot of good cards in this spot as well. Our opponent still seems to be unaware that they have a stop on our upkeep. I may gently nudge them if it's another minute or two, but they came back to life here. So just going to Inquisition, figure out what we're playing against. Okay, so we don't need the Boggart Trawler. This is not it's not one of those decks. Path to Exile looks horrible here. Brain Surge looks like the only good card in this spot. I'm guessing we have another land on top of the deck. I wouldn't say Path to Exile looks horrible, but I'll be very wary of playing this card in Modern Magic right now. So now so we wanted to get rid of the card advantage. Now we're just going to come after him, you know. Raven's Crime. Inquisition. Probably get counterspelled here. Might as well. Just, even if they didn't draw anything else, saves us from seeing it. Urza Saga would be the best draw here. Maybe not. But any land would be a good draw here. Okay, I'm just going to hold back. We'll see if we... Now I really wish I would have let him keep the Brain Surge. And we're not playing that out. We don't have to. No reason to. I'm going to cast the Bowmaster anyway. it should eat a counter spell here. Yeah. Now we hopefully they gave us another turn to draw a land so we could keep this as a threat, but I'm fine with slamming Liliana here. Hopefully we didn't draw a different counter spell that's not counter spell. Okay. I was like, if they were running some other 2-mana counter spell, I would have been disappointed. They put planes in the graveyard. So we can start really working on their hand here. Just an old school game of rack, maybe. They're playing a pretty old school blue-white control list, so. Bowmasters is good against them, but they are running like the spot removal. So we know counter spells, last card in hand. Just exit out these. I keep track of that, but just so you all don't have to. I try to keep this pulled up for you. First, let's crime them. Man, this is not. You are getting primo rack content. Getting an extremely great game 1, and then just a really like classic rack game 2. Okay, what are we discarding that's better than counterspell here? Oh, second counterspell. Well, makes a lot of sense. Just classic rack. Liliana and the rack. Just drawing a land be nice. Yep, just really make our land drops, make it hard for them to make their land drops. Ooh, that's rough for them. Maybe would have wanted to hang on to those lands earlier on. Okay, well, that was a quick concession. Um, Feels like they probably could have played that one out. And it did not feel like we were just for sure going to win. Fatal Pushes are probably our worst cards against them. Take out the Funeral Charm. Once again, the joke is sideboarded then to be taken out. I don't think Toxic Deluge is going to be good against them. I'm going to go out on a limb and say Nihil Spellbomb might be okay. And maybe keep one more Fatal Push. Because the only threat we've seen in their deck, I know it looks weird to keep 3 Fatal Pushes in this spot, but the man land, and we would prefer the man land. Like the Edict's not great. I was definitely not sideboarded to run into blue white control. So we got to figure out if we think an Edict would be better than a board wipe, and I think Edict is or Fatal Push even. I think it is like explicitly decent in this matchup because of the man land as their main threat. Fatal Push is not great, but it is what it is. This hand is great. Once again, another classic rack hand. And they're mulliganing too. Oh man, it's a control matchup. Just keep they had to have had like no lands for them to have mulliganed, right? Like I'm going to give our opponent like huge benefit of the doubt that it was just like unkeepable hand mana wise. That makes sense. Like that'd be the only thing that makes sense. So Inquisition them. Most of the time, you just want to say just don't even mulligan. We probably it's easier to play around this spell snare than the March, so let's just take the March. If you don't know, March hits Urza Saga. I'm actually going to play this out, and we're going to play a aggro Urza Saga game here, I think. Probably cycle this Spellbomb, because there's no reason to play into the Spell Snare with our Bowmaster. And just because like we only have like this and Tourach are like our only 2-drops in the deck that Spell Snare can hit because it can't hit Sudden Edict. Just going to cycle this thing. We're going full value. We're going to try to get the whole value out of both of our sagas here. Well, all three of our sagas, I guess. The March makes me think, did they... I don't think they saw Urza Saga last game. Maybe they saw the rack, I guess, so worth keeping in. Okay, so no fourth land for Jace. I feel like they would have slammed here if they had it. Okay, so we're going to get full value out of these sagas. That's nice. Probably just going to Pithing Needle the Jace. Remember, kids, you can't die to counterspell if you don't cast spells. So just name Jace the Mind Sculptor since we know it's in hand. Play out another saga. This is going to feel like a beating on their part. I mean, they might have just like some crazy cool tech like fetch for a black land pest control and just blow us out. Okay, well, I mean, they solitude us, but can they flicker it? No, they can't flicker it, so. What did they exile for that? Celestial Purge. What an old school card to run there. Okay. We're just going to slam the Jace anyway. Okay. Let's see. Um, I am going to run the Bowmasters out here, and it's because if they have, so I know they have Spell Snare, but if they have drawn Counterspell, now we're like it's probably just over. So yeah, so now we can just crime them once, and then like spell pierce gets us, but besides that, like we've pretty much sealed this game. I think this is a very quick. I'm gonna exile the push over to the. Okay, so they that they've had horrible luck this game. Like their deck might do well against the meta overall. I don't know, but they have had terrible luck this game. Okay, yeah, I would just concede to at that point. I don't blame them. That was a very tilting game for our opponent. Good luck to them and the rest of their league. Cool to see blue white control represented, but that was just. It's usually a horrible matchup for us, and we just had every single thing that we needed, and they had nothing. So we ran that well. The only thing that I think you could debate there maybe is just not casting the Orcish Bowmaster, but I still like my logic of make them use the spell snare because we only had one other unknown card in hand. Turned out to be a second Jace the Mind Sculptor, so once again, just beating on our part. Drawing all three Urza sagas, the hate card off the saga, being able to Thoughtseize away their main hate card. Lots of good reasons there. They did not sequence great, I don't think. Oh, but this is something too, by the way. I think in this meta, we do take the play like just straight up now all the time. Decent hand, better against like a Boros deck. Some sort of low to the ground aggro deck. Um, that would be about it with the Fatal Push here, but great hand against Boros. Mediocre to good hand against pretty much all of our other matchups. Like pretty good against Frog. All right. So our opponent is I Will Breathe. I haven't played against them to the best of my knowledge as well, so we have all sorts of faces that are new to me. Certainly might not be new to Magic. Okay. Flooded Strand into Watery Grave. Thoughtseize, alright. We probably are Reanimator with this sequence. We could still be Frog, though. Well, we could be the Frog Reanimator list, but we could be just Blue-Black Frog as well. It's just not running. If you're aware, there's kind of two different Frog lists running around. Thoughtseizing away Liliana makes me think they have multiple Thoughtseizes, potentially. And like that would make me think maybe play the Saga out because I'm not going to be able to play anything else next turn. Okay, there we go. It was once again kind of freezing on me a little bit there. That's the second time it's happened with this client since I've loaded it up this time around. Okay. I guess maybe they just have counterspell here. Like we're just not gonna play into it. You've got instant speed interaction if they choose to run anything. It's looking more like the Reanimator deck, but when I say Reanimator, it's still a pretty value-y Reanimator deck, but it could just be straight. Well, Basic Island makes you think it could be blue-black frog. Thoughtseize off the top would be great. Okay, well now we have to play the Saga. I don't want to play Liliana into this counterspell, but I want to be able to continue to get the value out of that. Not that I know for sure they have counterspell, it just seems extremely likely. Because the Thoughtseize doesn't make much sense unless... Okay, so Force of Negation, that's fine. Yeah, I do think it's the Reanimator deck. Getting the Saga down then is pretty important. Okay. Consider, well, maybe it's the like Unearth deck too. That seems like a very like Unearth card to run. Makes me lean more towards it's a frog deck then. I really would not like to play this Saga yet. Okay, so great. This looks like it's going to be a slow, grindy matchup. Now we have our Sudden Edict back up. They know about it, but... So, Preordain. Man, our Bowmaster just goes insane in this matchup if we happen to draw it. Okay, so there's the frog. We're just going to push the frog. Make both of our constructs here. Get a Nihil Spellbomb. Probably won't do anything with the Nihil Spellbomb yet. Yeah, this is a pretty good sequence here. So get the Spellbomb. We are just running one, so you have to keep that in mind. Even though we do have the 4 other Graveyard Hate pieces in our deck. I'm going to tap the Saga for the rack, just because you never know what sort of funky cards that you'll see in a league. And I'd rather not have to hold Saga up against like a Spreading Seas or some of the other cards that get ran that are good against Saga. This feels like a beating. So Preordain. We'll see, though. Once again, Sudden Edict showing off that being able to just hold this card and it be like a for sure, all right, we're going to kill this Murktide or we're going to kill this Emperor of Bones before it does anything. Like it's been very good for us. Okay. So we're going to attack first. Then in response to no blocks, probably make the Saga token. Like they have double Fatal Push right here. Which they very well could have. So there's the first one. Let's see if there's a second one. Okay. Because I would rather just be able to keep holding mana up, but it's worth the 1 extra damage right now, I think, to not do so. It feels like they're in trouble, but let's see. Long pause makes me think that they might be, but I could be wrong. It's wild to be able to win a game with Rack potentially without casting a single discard effect. Okay. All right, we're just going to keep holding up. Uh, I'm actually going to be really cheeky here and do Pithing Needle naming Flooded Strand. There's a good argument to just get another. Okay, so they just scooped. Awesome. I was going to say there's a good argument to get the Expedition map or the second rack, but I think choking their mana out in that one specific circumstance is pretty solid. I like our main deck against them. Once again, Funeral Charm probably coming out. Let's see. We probably want at least one more Spellbomb. We want our Fatal Pushes. We definitely want our Sudden Edicts. We definitely want our Bowmasters. I don't think Tourach is great against them. We didn't see any white, even though we saw a Flooded Strand. Because obviously they can just run off-color fetches. Most Delver-style decks do that. Don't think Vexing Bauble is great. Let's take Vexing Bauble out for the next. Like, it's okay. It's good against, like, Force of Negation. If they're smart, they're probably taking Force of Negation out of their deck. Unless it's just their sideboard's not good against us and 3-mana counter spells. Fine, then we might not see it. Going down a land could be or two could be an option here because it should be grindier games. Maybe going down Raven's Crime for the last Spellbomb. One Raven's Crime. It's our worst card against them in case they are running some sort of Unearth or Reanimator strategy. Didn't look like they were, but you never know. Solid hand, once again. Good interaction. Graveyard Hate, Liliana, Saga. I'm telling you, the deck is actually very playable right now. It's a decent Magic deck. Having a discard effect is nice. I think that's got to be on like a rack bingo card is win a game as the rack without casting a single like discard spell. At a certain point, you're like, is this the rack, right? Let's see. I think it's correct to take the Force of Negation, even though I don't particularly care about the Force of Negation. It's still the most correct thing. Subtlety is nice against Liliana, but I mean, not much we can do about it. Our game plan next turn, I would really, really, really like to draw like anything, like, discard-wise here. That would be great. But our plans over... Okay, we didn't, but that's okay. Our plans over the next few turns, once again, grindy matchup. We want to get full value out of our Sagas. So we'll be playing Urza Saga into Boggart Trawler more than likely. That should get the subtlety baited out. Okay, we got a Psychic Frog. It's fine. Okay, now I don't think we're playing the Saga because once again, getting the full value out of our Sagas here. We are going to slam the Trawler, and this should get subtletied. Then next turn, we can choose between. We'll probably next turn we're going to assume this gets subtletied here. Next turn we probably Bloodchief's Thirst the Frog, then Liliana to clean up the Murktide that they should be able to cast. Okay, so that would be the card I would have pitched with the subtlety. Maybe they have another card. Like you have to pit. Yeah, it's like you have to do it. Like you kind of their whole hand is really hinging on that. They will get to. We'll just put it on top. It's still good against graveyard hate creature blocker. Still good against them. What card did they exile? Consigned to memory. I mean, that's a strange card to run. I get why they did. We had seemingly a lot of those sorts of effects. We really can't afford to let the Psychic Frog go unchecked for too long. I figured one card draw we're good on. All right. I think we have to Thoughtseize here. No, we don't have to. Let's see. I would rather this spell not get countered, but I'm okay with. Okay, I was gonna say I'm okay with it getting countered. This is a tough spot for us, but I do think we just jam Liliana here. If they were able to hold back the counter spell for that, like, okay, good on them. I figured they would have to counter the first one, but all right, we're in. We're doing something. I don't know exactly what we're doing, but we are doing something. Okay. There's a good chance we play Trawler out as a land here. Let's just Thoughtseize, get an idea of what's going on. Really, when the play might be just discard Trawler. Okay, Force of Negation, got it. And I think that is the play. Discard Fatal Push when they know a Saga token's coming down is interesting. Makes me think they have another removal spell of some sort, or a way to handle the Sagas in their mind. Or just like their only threat. That could be a possibility. Okay. No cantrip, got it. No cantrip's good. That means we can get our Saga value. We would have definitely responded with Bowmaster here if they cantripped and just forgo making the Saga token. I could see a dress down in their deck, but oh, nope. Don't want that. Okay, let's see. They are pausing here. I'm not sure what they're pausing for. Okay, so they do counter the trigger. Got it. Which one are they countering? Multiple triggers here. Probably just the two that are most relevant. Oh no, they didn't for some reason. Okay. I'm actually just going to do this. I like the value in my hand right now, and I don't want to risk a situation where they have a really good hate card or something and just blow us out. Bowmaster against any sort of cantrip they draw here off the top of their deck is going to be a big blowout. I'm just going to hold it. Hopefully we draw a land here. Okay, so yeah. So the way that consigned to memory trigger works now, if you all didn't catch that, is that we can't make a, for the rest of the time it's in play, we could not make a Saga token. So pretty cool. I'm just going to undo that. I'm cool with risking the Bowmasters getting counterspelled. Gets a card out of hand for the rack, and it basically kills them if they cantrip here. All right. GG's. Yep. They concede. Awesome. Well, easy 2-1 so far. Match one, like you said, we watched our worst matchup, um, and that was probably our most entertaining one as far as like pure spectacle value goes. So, congratulations on getting to see that first, and then 2-2-0s back to back makes me happier, maybe. As you can see, the deck is very playable. You know, we're not really playing against match two. Kind of feels like a freebie because it's not really a meta deck, and we got kind of lucky. Opponent kind of sequenced in some funky ways, you know. But I don't think that matchup's usually not a good matchup. Blue white control is usually tough for the rack. So, all right, once again on the play. We are going to mulligan. We do need multiple lands. Okay, much better hand. We'll bend the Pithing Needle. Not a great hand, but much better because we have 2 lands, a way to get a 3rd land. We've turned into a very mana-intensive deck, if you all haven't noticed that. I think the correct play here is to take the Ajani. The March of or Goblin Bombardment could be a problem, but Ajani's just too much value. Well, that's a good draw. Now we can take the Bombardment. Which card am I most okay with getting marched here? Really not either. I'm going to play the Expedition map out in hopes that they don't march it, but we really need that that 3rd land drop in that it is an Urza Saga queued up. Kept something on top. Awesome. Take that all day. Okay, well, this is a lot trickier because now now we have to we can play around March with both here though. All right, Ben's another land. Probably cast the Flage. No. This is tough. I am going to get the Urza Saga. Or no, let's get the Castle Lochtwain here. Like we're playing around the March. Look at that. Corner case scenario, we're getting the Castle Lochtwain was the correct play. This is why the only utility land left in our deck. This is it. Turn off the auto yields here to see what they're casting. Okay, just easy. Cycle this. Get some value. It still puts them closer to being able to flage, but that's okay. We've got a couple good cards against that in case it goes long here. I mean, I'm all for just staring at each other. That's good with me. We have a handful of instant speed spells, and we probably are not going to activate Lochtwain anytime soon, but you never know. Flage deals some damage to us. I do think it's wise to just run this Bowmasters out. If they have removal for it, I'm more cool with trading with them because of the Lochtwain here. Oh, this is tough. I do think it's correct to just crime them here. I don't like filling their graveyard more for the Flage, but they're probably going to do that anyway. Okay, a second Flage. Nice. But we do have more graveyard hate in our deck. Hopefully we draw it. We have several good cards against the Flage in our hand. The life gain is the thing that's the best for them. Exile any number of target players' graveyards. I mean, if that's all we're doing here, that's great for us as well. We're not nearly as graveyard intensive as they are deck wise, and I probably would have discarded that, but. Alright, so they're going to kill our Bowmaster here with their Flage. Hopefully they have to exile the other Flage, though. Looks like they do, yep. There's one less in their deck. Okay. We're going to edict this now. Not sure why they would go face there. I don't know what they have that they're not wanting to kill the Bowmaster yet. But I'm fine with whatever it is. Alright. Going to get rid of the edict here so that we can fatal push something hopefully on their end step. Oh, more Flages is why. Got it. Really, the emptier the hand, the better with Lochtwain here for us. Because they can do a lot of damage without doing much. Ranger Captain, let's see what... We're going to dismiss all this. See what they reveal. A monkey. Awesome. We like the dashed monkey. So we can just kill it. All right, we're in good shape right here. Let's go. Let's Inquisition. That allows us. Awesome, man. This is a kind of a beating, and it shouldn't be. They probably are still going to win this game, but we are in like a shockingly good spot, all things considered here. Okay, so the arena's in play. Now we have to kind of hold back a blocker. This is I was going to say this is like the one card that like actually is fantastic here. We get rid of like most of the rest of their good cards against us. Our opponent says LOL, like can't even be mad, right? Like we're a meme deck to them, of course. Yeah. I can't say anything else besides LOL. It's funny, I know. It's annoying to get beat by someone playing the rack too. All right, Funeral Charm. Sticking around, buddy. Raven's Crime is gone. That's what probably our worst card against them. Vexing Bauble's gone. Now we do want our Nihil Spellbombs. I don't think we need all three. But I think, let's see. Do we want... We want all four of the Deluges in this matchup, typically. Funeral Charm is good. It does the thing a little bit. If I feel like I'm cutting it from this matchup, I probably just need to cut it from the deck. And I kind of am feeling like I'm cutting it in this matchup, so... Maybe we go down... One Edict, one Liliana. I think that's the best way to go. Pretty good hand, pretty good hand. We'll keep it. one of their best cards. I think we're unlikely to see a any sort of black splash here, so we're just gonna play out the Urborg. Gives us more options as the game progresses. It does have to be a feels bad for our opponent. Okay, I'm much happier with Guider of Souls than a Johnny here. Okay. I think I just regular cast Tourach here with the plan of blocking. Mainly doing that because we have the second Tourach as backup. It's not great against their probably their best removal spell, which is the Galvanic Discharge. Yep, there it is. But overall, it's good in this matchup. So they do have enough energy to do that. So that's pretty cool. Boros is a sweet deck. Toxic Deluge, okay. You're welcome to cast that if you'd like. Goblin Bombardment, awesome. Okay, well, we're not in... See, we're not in the worst space. So we can Fatal Push you. Just deal the 1 damage, okay. I mean, I don't, they do what they want to do. Thoughtseize. This is probably a pretty tilting game overall for our opponent. We got to take care of that. That's going to be a major problem for us in the near future. Okay, well, we just ripping nuts this league. Just F6, let them throw all their stuff at us. Probably going to Pithing Needle this Goblin Bombardment. Maybe not. We might Nihil Spellbomb. I think it is correct to get the Saga instead of the Lochtwain here. This plays around like their March of Otherworldly Life, things like that would normally be pretty good. All right. Hopefully we draw a land. We don't, but that's okay. This is one of those corner case scenarios that I would like to run a Springleaf Drum, but let's just attack and get our 3 damage in first before we cycle. Try to play optimally. I could just cast the Tourach there. I think I'm fine with holding this up. I want to shield against Wrath of Skies if they do have that. Because he's a threat that, you know, gets cleaned up by that. Okay. You can dismiss this now. What do we got, opponent? Ocelot Pride. Decent card in the matchup. Just going to keep hanging on to the construct tokens. Now we're probably going to Pithing Needle the Ocelot Pride. Or the Goblin Bombardment, sorry. Pithing Needle and Goblin Bombardment. Got the Pro White creature. We're all right. We're in good shape. We're in pretty good shape. Opponent at 3. What do you got for me, opponent? Long pause. Land Wrath of Skies. Nope, what we got? Season Pyro. Okay, that's a pretty good card in the matchup. We discard Static Prison, Static Prison. Tourach going a little crazy. I think we're in a wee ball territory here. Interesting play here by our opponent. I would have probably double blocked something. It's not the end of the world for us to not be able to cast this Liliana here. Maybe technically poor sequencing on my part. We'll see if it matters. All right. What do you got, opponent? What do you got? Another Seasoned Pyromancer. That was a good card in the matchup. I know it feeds our Tourach, but yep, another Seasoned Pyromancer. I had this strange feeling that was coming. And land, okay. No life gain. Another Spellbomb. Play Liliana uptick. We could downtick and try to get lethal. I don't think that we're going to be able to get lethal one way or the other here. Another Goblin Bombardment. Okay. Going to keep Tourach back. Is there a sequence of cards that could get us killed by attacking with 3? I don't think so. We're just going to shock it and... Oh, Elegant Parlor. Okay. I'm going to scry. Arena of Glory. That doesn't do them much good yet. There you go. They have to triple block. Okay. I think we're good. Not worried about exiling anything right now. If they slam land and have the Seasoned Pyro back up, we're still in a winning position. Keep both options open. All right. Got to give them the GG. All right, so 3-1. We've made our money back, right? I hope that you stayed past the first match, as long of a slog as it was, to just see the absolute beatings we put on deck the past 3 matches. Able to win some games. Rack's pretty good right now. I'm telling you, it's. I don't know if it'll stay that way for a long time, but whenever Rack's good, I'm gonna be playing it. You already know that. Most of our games you've seen, we've not won from the Rack. This is tough because if we knew what their deck was, this might be a playable hand, but this is not a playable hand in a vacuum. Much better. Probably send the Rack back. a 6 land 1 spell hand, but here we are. All right, once again, our worst matchup. Let's see if we can race them with this lightning hand. I don't think these Eldrazi decks really run the Thought Knot Seers and things like that the way they used to. Um, I'm a big fan of Thought Knot Seer. Maybe as a sideboard card, they still run it. Okay, so they have the Kozilek's Return. Have the let's take the command here and hope they don't draw green or red source for a while. I mean, that's a solid hand by them. I probably would have mulliganed that hand, but I'm also not an Eldrazi player. I don't know. Maybe you just keep anything that has like Eldrazi Temple, Kozilek's Command, like random cards in it. I don't know. Keeping them off green and red here, we might be able to sneak a cheesy win. Long pause from our opponent. I'm fine with just them conceding and thinking that we're a better deck than what we are. That would be nice. Or a deck that has a better matchup against them than what we do. We'll put it that way, because this is not our best matchup, and this is maybe the most popular deck. But as you've seen, we have pretty successfully just dominated every other deck in the format. So like there is a space for us. I am sad that you all didn't get to see us play against Catcher Most, because that's probably the second worst matchup, and I would still say overall I have a winning percentage against that deck. Especially after I played against it a few times and kind of got a feel for how to attack it as the rack deck, what's going on. But overall, the meta, I mean, it's pretty favorable for us. Okay, so they did get the second Eldrazi Temple. I think I would have slammed Bog there, but... Okay, we're playing out the Saga 1. We're going racing. We'll see if we can do it. I know that there's nothing that they could have on my turn here, so just kind of waiting on them to click through. Maybe they're doing something else as well. It's perfectly fine. When I'm not streaming often, maybe watching. Right now is a really good time to watch college basketball if you enjoy college basketball. Things like that. It's conference tournament time, so it's kind of the beginning of March Madness, if you've heard of that, if you're not from the U.S. Just very like win or go home type games. A lot of passion being put on display. All right. I think here we get. Well, Vexing Bauble does nothing against their deck. So I think we get Pithing Needle on Karn the Great Creator here. Slam another Saga. This is, and so like I know that I've got friends that I've mentioned before. They feel like it's more of a Urza Saga control deck, which is absolutely true. That it is more of a Urza Saga control deck than anything else right now. But like if you didn't have it, there would be no winning these games. So like you do need it. Okay, let's see. I think we want to. I don't think we want to like give them a chance to like discard a Kozilek's command here into something by playing Liliana. I think we're just slamming and hoping they're dead. Okay, that's so they have Mycosynth Tyrant, and they have the Crystal guy here that they can play. Not as worried about the Mr. Crystal guy. Okay, this is a trickier one. Definitely skipping to combat here. I think. Let's do the math. Okay, I'm going to Fatal Push one of the spawns now. And then we just can kill him on our turn. Awesome. Just float. I'm always happy with just dead. let's not show him the rack. Let's make him like think that that's not a possibility. Okay, cool. Cheese the game. We'll take it. Like if you can win game one against this deck, you have a much better chance. So as you know, we bring those in, bring these in. Probably get rid of the Nihil Spellbombs, Vexing Baubles. I'm pretty sure Vexing Bauble is a card that they run for the most part. Taking out the Funeral Charms. Keeping these. Inquisition is not great against them. It misses pretty much all their good cards. Let's take out Inquisition. That might be something to think about in the future, too, is consistently taking out Inquisition in this matchup. Pithing Needle is fine against them, though. Raven's Crime is good. Go down a Fatal Push. It's like the least good of our removal spells against them. I think going down Inquisition is a pretty good baseline play. Okay, look. Here's a great example of a hand that would be absolutely unplayable if we were running a different style of deck here. So we're dealing like 8 damage to ourselves the first 2 turns, but I mean it's a playable hand, and hopefully we draw just a basic Swamp or an Urza Saga too to really smooth it out a little bit better. But Boggart Trawler is a great Magic card. Great Magic card. Okay, the Toxic Deluge is not necessarily the removal spells you want to see at this point in the game. What do we take here? I'm cool with them having Malevolent Rumble. I'm really not that concerned over the Sowing Mycospawn either, though. The Kozilek command is a ways off. I think we go Kozilek's command here. That's the one that, if that just sticks around in their hand all game, that we could be in trouble. Malevolent Rumble really smooths out their next draw. Don't get me wrong, but with them not seeing that the Damping Sphere is in our hand, I think that gives us some information advantage with that. I think what they take is not necessarily going to be, the most optimal card against us. Really long league, this league. In large part to our opponents playing very slowly. That's been the consistent theme. I do play very fast, especially considering I'm given commentary, I know, and sometimes that causes me to maybe overlook something. And you're always welcome to tell me in the comments if you're like, hey, you missed this or that. And I'll go back and watch. I'm usually curious. Okay, so there's the Malevolent Rumble. Now's when Damping Sphere's good here. I don't know if it's good enough. We really needed to draw some lands, but there's the magic 8 damage in 2 turns I talked about. But a non-Boggart Trawler land would be nice to draw, just anything. You get really mana hungry once the Damping Sphere is in play. Oh, this is great. We can put them off a turn, potentially, from Mycospawn. So once again, this is where it messes with you with the Damping Sphere. Because intuitively, I'm like, well, I want to Thoughtseize away the Mycospawn. And then kill the Scion token, but that's really not an option right now. So I think the correct play is kill the Scion token with the Bowmaster here. Hopefully they let us get our little token. Okay, they're a good Magic player. If they Kozilek commanded, oh lord, that's perfectly fine. Okay, we're fine with that. Would have not taken that card with a Thoughtseize, so not too worried. We do, now especially, we really want that extra land. Like I said, Damping Sphere makes you very mana hungry. And you can actually get pinned pretty easily under your own Damping Sphere in these sorts of matchups. There it is. Just because of how these games kind of play out. So we can take whatever 7-drop they're planning on casting here, or they wouldn't have got that card. Yep, so we'll take the Devourer of Destiny. We'll pass to their upkeep, and then Sudden Edict them. Alright, we're in an okay spot. They're stuck at 5 mana for now. Could be an argument to take their Myco Spawn there, but we have some good answers against that. Come on. Oh, almost got very excited. I thought we were going to top deck a land and really punish him for that play. That really signals that we drew Kozilek's command. I had some awkward sequencing turns here. So let's think. If they're Kozilek's commanding for 3, they're not discarding any cards. I don't know that just a Tourach with nothing. Like I don't know that they're going to discard another card again soon. After a Kozilek's command here. So Kozilek's command with like poor targets, I think, is solid. If I'm wrong and it's like a Nature's Claim, which it very well could be, I'm kind of okay with that because then I can just play Tourach. I can't see many reasons for them to hold the Sowing Myco Spawn in their hand unless they have the Kozilek's command. Or unless they just really have a misunderstanding. We did hide that we're a rack deck pretty well last game. So maybe they have just a misunderstanding of kind of like how they should attack our deck. Which is why like some of those little things like that we're like kind of hiding that when you can. Hiding what deck you are as much as you can, especially if you're playing a fringe deck. Okay, what's a Nature's Claim? And then we kind of got double value out of it because now we can play our Tourach. Now don't get me wrong, like we're screwed with like half their top decks here, but we're in the game at least. Okay, Malevolent Rumble is pretty good against us. Bloodchief's Thirst does work. Toxic Deluge is good against the Kozilek's command. What did they keep? Emrakul the Promised End. Lord of Mercy. Okay. So this cannot be... This is good against Emrakul the Promised End, if you all don't know anything about Emrakul the Promised End. It's a Delirium card. So we've now managed to make that full price again. So that's good. Buys us some time. What are they on? Okay. So we still know the Emrakul's in hand. We can't deluge for just 1 without killing our clock. Okay. I like this. So now we can get the discard trigger. And we're also going to kill this Scion. And we're just going to start beating, man. Let's just do it. YOLO, let's go. Come on. Yeah, let's go. One more turn. Fade for one more turn. Let's go. Nothing. Come on, nothing. Big money, land. Come on. Yeah! 4-1, boys. All right, so 4-1, and we went 1-1 against our worst matchup. If that doesn't tell you that the deck is eminently playable, I don't know what will. As you can see, and the first matchup was such a great game.